Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today's video is sponsored by Kalshi and Polymarket. Just kidding. No, but today's video is in some cases about that. I wanted to talk about gambling and why it seems like everything that you see and do nowadays in some way, somehow, shape, or form is either sponsored by something that is gambling, is either trying to get you to gamble, or is telling you another way you can gamble. Everything is gambling. There's even like a way you could gamble on your own credit card debt, which is insane to me. You can gamble on the weather. You can gamble on everything. And it's terrifying because the one thing that is known is that financially, the places that are even like capable of doing something like this financially, everybody is economically worse off than they've ever been in history. Just about like the average household can barely afford to survive, and that line of survival is closer than it's ever been than any other time in history. And here they are trying to sell us all on our own financial downfall. And there's a few reasons that it's being sold like this. And there's one specific one that I want to explore. Now, obviously everybody likes the idea that like, hey, like it's, if I take $20 and I can make $200 off of that, like, shouldn't I take the chance? Sure, you could. But what if that chance of winning the 200 on that $20 is only a 1 in 100 chance? Well, then you have 99% more of a chance that you're going to lose the $20 when instead you could have taken that $20 and you could have bought something else you needed. Everybody is being kind of shown this from the perspective that, well, what have you got to lose? Well, you have what you have left to lose, obviously. But the only thing that's being shown is what you could possibly win. So you're only hearing that, yeah, you could take $20 and you can make $200 off of it if you win. But you're not hearing the other side of it that is supposed to tell you that, oh, but, you know, you only have a 1 in 100 shot of that happening. And the way that happens is through luck, right? So I feel like there's a relationship to be made here, right? The relationship that is to be made here is of luck to winning, right? And then of winning to financial success. And what that does is, after enough time of telling everybody, all the general population, the masses, that if you want to be financially successful in this day and age, well, the one way to do it, the best, is to get lucky. And if you hear that enough times, you start to believe that, oh man, so you're telling me that for me to become financially successful, as definitively I am not right now, I need to be lucky? So what you're trying to tell me is that the idea of succeeding financially in this day and age, in this world, in this society that we live in, is simply based on how lucky I am. Well, if everybody starts to believe that their own success and how good they're going to do is tied solely to whether or not they have luck, what incentive do people have to continue trying to be successful, or learning as much as they can, or becoming a better version of themselves, or obtaining a skill, or contributing to a system of some kind, or society, right? Well, if everybody believes that the only way that they're going to be successful is they got to hit it big and get lucky and land the spin, then what you're selling a whole generation of people is the idea that they don't need to work hard towards anything, because there's nothing really worth working towards. For you to get financially successful, you have to get lucky. Like, you have to be lucky to do that. That's what this whole gambling epidemic is designed to show us. It feels like it's designed to slowly but surely begin teaching us as a populace to relate our financial success and well-being and, to luck. And what that'll do is it'll slowly start training us that everything financial is based on luck. And if everything in your life is based on finances, and the only way to get finances is to learn and build a skill and contribute to a society and to be rewarded for that knowledge and skill that you have worked towards building, if that's what you used to need to obtain good finances, but now to obtain good finances, the only thing that matters is luck, then maybe you'll just give up. Maybe you'll stop working towards being the best version of you that you are. Or maybe you'll stop working on learning new skills or being financially literate or learning what the optimal thing to do with your $20 is, instead of, blowing it on a 1 in 100 chance, maybe using it to buy something that you need, or maybe even buying a less risky but, slowly appreciating asset with that $20 instead, in hopes that it accrues interest or growth, right? Instead of doing those things, which are all things you have to learn how to do and have to start by being somewhat of a success at something and, being skillful and knowledgeable and wanting to learn. If that success in finance is, instead of being centered on that, it's now centered on how lucky you are. Are you going to win the roulette shot? Who's going to be incentivized to keep doing these things that are required to become skillful and learn and critically think? It's almost as if this is designed to show you that the entire financial system that we are dependent on for our survival in this day and age that we live in is all based and dependent on luck. So you should stop trying so hard to be so smart or to learn and be effective and efficient, and instead just depend on us and luck. Because if you just let us give you what you need, and maybe you gamble the little bit that you do have away, you might end up with more. You might lose it, but you might end up with more. Instead of taking that $20 and using it towards something you need, or maybe even learning what a good ETF to invest that $20 for growth would be, or anything like that. Instead, this gambling epidemic, in my eyes, it almost seems like a psyop that is designed to teach you that your finances are not based on how smart or how educated or how skillful you are at something. They're solely and intrinsically based upon your luck. And that if you aren't successful, probably just because you aren't lucky. It's not because you're not working hard enough. It's not because you're not trying hard enough. It's not that if you want to be successful, if you want to be financially stable, that you need to learn some things, you need to understand how certain things work, and you need to have a skill that can be marketable and that you can earn a living off of. No, you're supposed to be given a stipend for nothing, and you're going to gamble that away. And then what we need something from you, though, you're always going to be ready and on standby, because you won't have another choice. Your luck depends upon it. Like fucking, I don't know. But I've been thinking about this gambling thing a lot lately, and that's my thought on it. Why it's become such a prevalent and big problem in our society nowadays, I think, is entirely based on this psyop that they are trying to purport. And they're trying to convince you that your financial success has nothing to do with your ability to obtain knowledge and skills and use those things to learn how to do stuff and to learn how to manage your finances. And instead, It's based upon just hitting it big a few times. But the only way that you're going to hit it big and that you're going to get lucky and that you're going to make millions on nothing is by rolling the dice. If you ain't going to play, you ain't going to get paid. You can't pay. They ain't going to pay if you don't play, man. It's all luck. Are you going to be rich? I don't know. Let's ask the Magic 8 Ball. Or you could just learn how to do some shit on your own. I blew probably about $5,000 myself in the meme coin casino trying to hit it big. I had some big buys. I'm still holding some of those fucking things. Like, probably never see any kind of return on that shit, right? Like, fucking, I have some crypto, bigger ones. Like, I got Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I got, a 401k. I've got an annuity. I've got a Roth IRA. I've got investments, right? I also have gold and silver. But what I've stopped doing is I've stopped buying anything that resembles a gamble. You could argue that any stocks or any ETFs are a gamble, but hell, I mean, if the whole global economy is actually gonna collapse, we got a lot bigger problems to fucking figure out than that. I think I trust my money being spread out amongst a fucking variety of different entities and assets and nations and even like materials, right? Than leaving it in a dollar that could be fucking on the verge of collapse also. Like just sitting in my bank, gaining 4% interest at best when you're losing 5 to 10% in inflation like a year. So you're keeping 95% of the dollar that you left in the bank every year, and it just compounds the wrong direction. But that 90% of that dollar that you have left 2 years from now, you should totally take it and put it all on black. Or, I'm sorry, all on 8 black. Any number, but one number, black. That's how you become financially successful. You just gotta get lucky. I'm just kidding. Let me know what you think down below. Maybe I'm just crazy. I don't think so. I think that this is all just part of the system that's designed to keep us all under the thumb. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you guys are having a good day. Talk to you soon. Bye now.